Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. It's comic book day, new comic book day. So we're finally talking, we've got this, X-Force and Fallen Angels, and we're finally done with all the number ones for this new Dawn of X. Next week, actually, with Fallen Angels, X-Men number 2 will be out. But today we're talking about Hickman's New Mutants. He's doing the first series of books for this. It's going to be taken over by Brisson, I believe, after this. So I've been really looking forward to this because New Mutants to me, I like it, but I'm not a big fan of kids or teenagers. Look, I didn't like myself when I was a teenager, okay? But I knew that Hickman could do something to make me like this, and quick review, like before we get into talking about the book, I loved it. I loved it because it was true to how teenagers are. Even though there's a trope in here that I don't like, but I think they were doing it for the story, which is fine. I'll be talking off of my cover issue, the regular number 1. I didn't get all the variants because honestly I just kind of didn't like all of them. And after listening to comics aficionados talk about variants this week, this last episode, I'm like, am I supposed to feel bad for getting variants because I like the art and I'm trying to be when it comes to X-Men, I'm a bit of a completionist, or at least as much as I can be. But anyway, they were talking about how Art Germ doesn't sell anymore, and people think everything looks alike. Well, I don't have enough of them to know that. I didn't, and like people don't like Scotty Young because Scotty Young is so whatever last year or something, and I still dig him. I mean, whatever. But this is the Art Germ regular variant. There's a Virgin variant out there that's more expensive, but I'm like, nah. So that's the magic one. We continue with our Bagley. Connecting every mutant ever. I will be putting these all together at some point when we get them all. Then we got the Young Guns variant. The artist is Javier Garron, but I don't know if he's really that young gun, is he? Because I believe Garron's been around for a little while. Pretty cool. And then we got the techno, like the technical book, though. Very cool. I dig these too. They're just, I don't know, there's something cool about it, kind of a computer manual book. And then I got my favorite one, the Bradshaw one. I like this a lot. This reminds me of Art Adams. And there is an Adams variant, but I wasn't going to pay for that one too, because it was just magic again. I guess magic's on a lot of these covers, like as far as like the more expensive ones. So let's dive in to New Mutants. This is a fun book. I was telling one of my friends at work that used to read comics about this, and I told him about New Mutants number 1. He goes, "The Sunspot's still an asshole." After reading this, I can tell him for sure, yes. But I also like him. And this is different from like the New Mutants that I was reading. So when I got into comics, it was the very last hurrah for the New Mutants before it went into X-Force. I was around for like about I started reading comics about the last 6 or 7 issues before the end of New Mutants. So I was there for when Liefeld started and the whole breakup of the team. And so I wasn't there for all of it. I wasn't there for when, but basically almost the whole run of New Mutants. So we jump in. And I gotta say, at first I didn't know if I was gonna like this art, but every page is like a painting. I like this. It's like art meets sketch. I know that sounds stupid. Painting meets sketches, in my opinion. But I like how this begins because we get the return of Wolfsbane, who died during that new X-Men, Uncanny X-Men run that led up to Age of X-Men series that was just not good, and she died before that, and so she finally gets to come back, and they're like, hey, you want to talk about it? She's like, you know what, no, I think I'm good. Like, this could, dying and coming back thing could be, kind of shocking, and you might want to talk about what's going on with you. And then we get our like page with who's in here. Mondo, who I dig Mondo. I think Mondo came on the scene, and I didn't know him until Age of Apocalypse, the original Age of Apocalypse that came out. I don't know if that's where he was introduced or not, but I always liked that character, and I'm glad he's a part of this team. And you got Wolfsbane, Karma, Cypher, Mirage, Sunspot, Magic, and Chamber. And this issue is called the Sextant. And I didn't know really what that meant. And I looked it up because I'm trying to be thorough. And it says that a sextant is... I got all this stuff in my hands. A doubly reflecting navigational instrument that measures the angular distance between two visible objects. Basically, it's a star map. It kind of makes you think about the Krakoan doorways. And just, it would be how people used things to look at the stars and navigate their way. And since this book takes us into space, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I like that Mondo is trying to communicate with Krakoa in a new way for Cypher. It's not working. It's creeping Mondo out. I also like the way Mondo looks. He looks really cool. Well, Krakoa actually is inside of Mondo and can talk through him. And he's like, well, where's Mondo then? We're still there. And he's like, well, not in the way you mean. And he's like, kind of like, okay, did you see that Scarlett Johansson movie called Under the Skin? That's where it looks like he's at. Krakoa does not like this, and it leaves him, says like, well, I don't think we're going to do this again. And Mondo says the same thing. In fact, he's like, if you ask me to do this again, I'm going to punch you in the face, like, a lot. I really like the dialogue here, quite a bit. The only dialogue I didn't like was there's a bit of exposition kind of thrown in here, and it's just a minor thing that I didn't really care for, was the conversation between Danny and Mirage and Sunspot, Bobby, where they're describing their community, the Academos habitat, the Sextant. And they talk about how it's like they're building a community in the schools and stuff. And there's something just about the dialogue here I didn't really care for. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was just Bobby coming off a little too smug like he always is. Also, does this mean that he was never like... Because the last time I saw Bobby, he was running the Secret Warriors. And he seemed a lot more grown up than he does here. He seems to have aged down. And I don't remember him dying, so... I don't know. But I mean, I accept it. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. But we also find out, like in Marauders, they were talking about how they couldn't get coffee. But Fauna, the one with the antlers, she found a way to fertilize the land and make coffee beans. And everybody's really into it. Magic is really into it because she's like, touch my coffee, I'll cut you. And you believe it. She seems really hot-headed so far in this issue, and I don't know if that's always her. Like I said, I'm not as familiar with all of these characters. Like Magic, I know is Colossus' sister, and she runs like Limbo or whatever, or Hell, that version of like that space in between. I think where Nightcrawler. I'm not going to get into all that because I'll have, if you guys want to put it in the comment section. But she's like a very intense character, but I just don't remember her being this intense, like right out the gate, especially with things like coffee. I think it's supposed to be funny. But everybody wants to drink it except for Mondo, who's like, is that this stuff the new green kid grew? Yes, I'll pass. I saw how that was made. With sincerity, with innocence, not what I would call it, not how it smelled. And I do like that there's a lot of good back and forth here. Like, this is a family, and they realize that without Sam Guthrie, Cannonball, they feel like they're missing a part of their family. So they get Cyclops to get Corsair to take them for a ride across the galaxy to where Sam is in the Shi'ar Empire. And, there's a lot of just really good dialogue here. Pirate dialogue, them and their, like, the deal that they have to go with Corsair and everybody. And what I like about this is Corsair, like, hey, man, they're not in X-Men space now that they're not on the moon and everything, and they're back to business as usual. Their characters are back to business as usual. They're treating the New Mutants like, hey, like, this is a favor. Like, we're not on Earth now. You're in our world, kind of thing. And I like that a lot. Mondo and Cypher, though, find the doorway to Krakoa. They also find out that when Krakoa goes somewhere, when one of these doorways is planted, it wants to terraform. It wants to keep going. And Chode, I'm sorry, that's right, his name is Chode. His plants that he's been putting there for a long time are dying now, things that he was looking forward to. And he's pissed off at them. And so they put the plant inside Mondo for safekeeping, and it will stop terraforming. Because I guess what's happening is when you put the plant near the gateway, it starts to do this. So looking at this, it's showing little problems that could definitely cause, like, maybe, Krakoa to grow a little bit too much in places that people don't want. And we have just kind of a fun scene of Magic fighting Raja. There's a bet with Bourbon involved. People saying that she's gonna lose. And that he punches her in the face, and she just cuts his friggin' arm off. And so Corsair loses his Bourbon, and they get to this like space station, this like way station. It's pretty cool. And again, I dig this art so much. This art reminds me of the guys who were doing whoever was doing the 80th anniversary covers. They were all connected through the different times. If you guys remember those, that had like it was like all the way back to the original Marvel Comics, all the way to present, each decade kind of getting their own book. That's what this looks like a lot. So I guess that means I should look up to the friggin' artist, right? The artist that was really? Oh, Rob Reese. So they go, yeah, we're at a place, you're in our world, and we have a bit of a reputation. And I do like the white pages in this. These aren't as important as they were in, Hawks and Pox. But they're fun because they go, like, we have a bit of a reputation. And it's boom, next page, wanted poster. And that's the second thing that comes up. But the other page is very important. I mean, I could list off all the things that they're wanted for at the bottom there, but they're wanted for a lot. But the thing about the benevolence here comes up with, it says a couple of interesting things. One that's very foreshadowy, and well, both things are very foreshadowy. And one thing I had brought up earlier in another video. So let's read this, and I'll tell you when we get to it, right? So it says that Benevolence, this place, originally designed as a transit station, Benevolence was recently converted into a temporary repository for exotic material considered too dangerous for inter-system storage. Long-term plans for conversion of Benevolence to a populated habitat remain on hold until a shift in brood spawning grounds occurs. They brought up the brood. I was saying something about this, about if they were going out into space and there was a doorway there, what if... One sec. There we go. What if the brood got through? What if the brood infected somebody and they got through one of the doorways? That's all I'm saying. Current Imperial xenobiologists believe this long-predicted shift appears likely due to the recent collapse of several stars within their breeding territory, altering normal migration patterns. So the brood are kind of all around. I'm just saying, everybody keep an eye out. Due to operational shortages, the station is currently manned by only a single light brigade. That's not good. Multi-system, that's probably why the Starjammers are there, though. Multi-system troop reassignments have been made in response to increased activity in other sectors. So we got the scroll. Automated docking and refueling nodes are available for all vessels with proper Imperial identification codes. Fabricating Imperial identification codes is a crime punishable by compounded fines and possible imprisonment. And the little black note here has the biggest foreshadowing. Beware the king egg. Always handle with extreme caution. Under no circumstances should a king egg be removed from its containment shield. Interstellar pheromone production can result in unexpected swarm activity. Never introduce a king egg into an alien biome. Such activity can trigger super guardian protocols. There's a biome on the Starjammer. So this thing they're after Could be a big old bomb that could go off. Not literally, but kind of. Well, and then we get the rules. We've been on, and this is the tropey part, okay? This is the tropey part that it's fine, but it's tropey as hell, okay? Kids, stay on the ship, you know? It's like Rick and Carl, right? Coral, don't leave the house, Coral. Oh, and you know what Coral's gonna do? Well, the New Mutants are no different. And they want to know why they can't leave and all this, blah, blah, blah. And he tells them this story about four-armed guys. Like, everything they're afraid of is what he tells them is there. Which is already a red flag. But in this, as soon as this page started, I was like, yeah, they're leaving the ship. Because otherwise there's no conflict. Without conflict, there's no drama, blah, 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 blah. So, there, I mean, Bobby actually is the voice of reason. It's like, hey, man, you know what? Let's just go get some bourbon that I won. Let's go get drunk. We're teenagers. Let's do teenager stuff and get wasted. But as soon as he leaves, you know, Danny and Magic are already like, yeah, we already know where they're going. Let's go. Well, they get there, and guess what's sitting there? The king egg. And they find out that there are no religious zealots that are, or whatever is going on there, that they say that their people are being, you know, brutalized or whatever. Which he really should have come up with a better lie because, you know, they were going to want to help. And so the Starjammers are like, dudes, you guys are getting in the way. This is a bad idea. You know, Bobby was there like, oh, I should have seen this coming. You guys leaving. And so they have the king egg, and the Starjammers grab it, and they got to bail. And they leave them behind to fight the Imperials, that are the Shi'ars that are there. And, you know, of course, there's like, hey, man, I said I'd get you there, and now you guys are screwing everything up. We're taking this, and we're getting out of here. So they get there, and Bobby comes back. You know, they see Bobby on the ship. And he's like, what? You know, like, hey, we can't leave them there. We just can't leave them. And then, of course, there's like, one, there's no we. And two, yes, we can leave them, and we are. And so he's like, well, what do we do to deserve this? Go back to the trope. You people ruined my plans. The anger will cut off my arm. Like children, I do not. And you stole my whiskey. And he's like, well, you lost that fair and square. And then he looks at him. I love this pause. They take that beat and the pause here at the bottom where he just looks at him and he goes, now you lost your ship. So he dumps Bobby off and the Starjammers take off with the egg. And then Bobby says, like, breaking the fourth wall basically, is this where I saved the day? It feels like it, doesn't it? And then they go, cut to it. And they're surrounded, and nothing worked out, and they lost. And he goes, oh, okay, we surrender. But hey, don't worry about it. I said I have a good space lawyer, because he did a little earlier, that when they went to space, if they got in any trouble, he has a space lawyer. Cut to another fun white page joke. Have legal trouble? Space lawyer. So not only is this book well written, it's funny, it starts off a really fun storyline, but has some very, very real ramifications. Like I said, this king egg thing is definitely going to, it sounds like it's going to be a thing. We bring up the Brood, we bring up the Skrulls. We haven't even seen Sam yet. And from that foreshadowing cover on one of the House of X Powers of X covers, it shows Bobby on a throne with the Imperial Guard kneeling before him. So, that's New Mutants #1. It's a fun ride. I highly recommend picking it up if you can. It's way better. It's honestly the one I was the most concerned with. And I was wrong. Again, I mean, Marauders is actually, to me, the one that's got the most problems with it right now. So anyway, we will be back with New Mutants #2 when it comes out. Later on today, we're going to be doing X-Force and Immortal Hulk and all that stuff. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Review saying keep reading comics, go to your brick and mortar stores, keep supporting other comic book YouTubers like Thinking Critical and Comics by Perch, Ash on Comics. I'm forgetting other people, the Real Comic Book Stacks, other people like that. So anyway, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.